All right, time for a controversial topic, or a topic that I guess should be controversial, and something that a topic that people I think get wrong all the time, and that's going to be collector grade vehicles or cars as investments, or making money on a car after parking it for so many years. Now, I'm taking this at a completely different face value. Cars are not investments, cars are liabilities. This video is more of buying smart, something that can possibly make you a few $1,000s, but at the end of the day is a car that you are buying because you want to enjoy it. I think the concept of buying a car to park it to eventually make money on it is one of the dumbest ideas that the media has trained you guys to think. Unless you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're most likely not going to make a significant amount of money that is justifiable to put into a car. There's no vehicle that is going to make you hundreds of thousands of dollars that is brand new, unless you're spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. In the long course of things, all of those cars are eventually going to depreciate. There might be an initial uprise, but eventually they will all come down. So when you're going into buying a Corvette C8 Z06 and you're spending $100,000 over sticker, just know the cars are going to be under sticker at some point or another, and we're finally seeing that. So if you bought one over sticker, you're losing a ton of money. That investment is not an investment anymore. If you guys have parked these IMSA edition or C8 Z06s, you're not going to make money on them. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it, and I'm going to tell you this before we start. Historically, if you look back into investing in an index fund, S&P, the stock market just in general, and then you look at cars and people who parked cars, they made no money on those cars. Counting for inflation, maintenance, insurance, and just any other miscellaneous expenses like storage or gasoline that might come up, you are not going to make money on a car that you parked. 99% of the time. You're not only not going to make money, but if you invested that money into a fund that historically has always risen and is a pretty safe investment, you would make way more money. So if you're buying a car as strictly an investment and really don't plan on driving or enjoying the car, you're probably not going to make money on it, especially if it isn't a multi-$100,000 or multi-million-dollar car. Today, I'm going to give you cars that I think are going to be good investments, cars that eventually, if you do sell them in 5 to 10 years, you've driven, enjoyed, put miles on, and you'll be able to come out positive a couple of $1,000s, maybe a little bit more, and counting for everything you've spent on the car, you're either going to break even or make a couple dollars. These are not cars that are going to make you rich, because I think that is a bad way to look at cars. Now my rant is over. Let's get into 10 cars that I think will appreciate over time more than regular cars after hitting depreciation, bottom depreciation. First car that I think has not only hit bottom depreciation but has already started to appreciate a little bit is the FCRX7, specifically a Turbo 2 and 10th anniversary car. I think these cars are going to go down as some of the best of its time and some of the cars that are currently being slept on. A Turbo 2 RX-7 is extremely rare, and to have a clean one is extremely hard to find. I would know because I've been searching for one of these cars for quite some time. It's a little bit more of a maintenance heavy car, but I think people are finally starting to realize that rotaries aren't as unreliable as everyone has made them in the past. They're actually pretty solid motors if and when maintained correctly, even though that maintenance tends to be a little bit more expensive. The second car I want to bring up is the E36 BMW M3. Now, historically, BMWs depreciate almost more than any other car in the market. But once BMWs, and more in particularly special BMWs, hit rock bottom, they can turn around and spike so hard in value that you wish you got one. Now, the E36 hit bottom depreciation a long time ago, but I still think with the current market cooling a little bit, you can still find some pretty good deals. Not only will you get the maintenance back, and it's a pretty reliable car, I think they have a ways to go before they really start to appreciate like we think they did and think they will be. I think the E36 still has a couple of years before it really gets to that retro vintage classic car that people already think they are. Now, going back to the Japanese cars, another car that has seen a little bit of an increase in value, doesn't have the correct motor in the United States, but still has a decent motor and is something a little special, is the Mark III Toyota Supra. The Mark IVs are super expensive, and eventually the Mark IIIs have to follow suit if the values stay where they are. It's hard to find a Mark III, it's hard to find a clean Mark III, and they also came in automatic examples, which are super undesirable, and they also came in non-turbo versions, so a turbo manual is going to be a collector vehicle in the future, and also something that is going to rise over time. Values of these cars vary so much, it's really hard to put a price point on what they are right now. Some people ask $25,000 for clean cars, some people ask $15,000 for clean cars. I think 15 is quite a bargain for a clean turbo manual Supra. But at the same time, I don't think they're worth quite $25 unless it's a very certain example with rare options or something along that extent. Now, of course, in the United States, we did not get the 1JZ, but we got the 7M Turbo, and the 7M has some reliability issues, but I think reading more on it, people are starting to come around to it. Now, car number 4 is going to be the C5 Z06. It is one of the last flip-up light cars that was ever produced. It was something that was completely different from the regular C5. It was fixed roof, only came in manual, and just was overall upgraded from the other cars a significant amount. It is right at the point of some of those last analog sports cars, and if you kind of see, there's going to be quite a few cars from that era because they're a little undervalued at the moment, and eventually people will appreciate them even more than they do right now. The C5 Z06 is depreciating significantly right now, but give it another 5 years or so, they're probably going to swing back up in the upwards direction because they shouldn't be under $20,000 for a V8 manual Z06. Next on the list is going to be the 2013-2014 GT500. I think obviously that this car is going to be a car that goes down in history. It's the last manual GT500 that is ever going to be produced. Supercharged V8. Once they stop making supercharged V8s and V8s altogether, these cars are going to hold their value, if not go up a little bit over time, because it is one of the most special cars, and honestly probably one of the best eras for Ford, period. Not only that, but I'm pretty sure it's the last Shelby that Carroll Shelby oversaw in his lifetime. Now, car number 6 is going to be the Mazda Miata. Not only the NA Miata, which is already significantly increasing value every day, they're getting harder and harder to find because they're all being just rusted out or abused. There's also a very special Miata in the mix which people don't really talk about, and that car is the NB Mazda Speed Miata. It's the only turbo Miata that ever came from factory. It's going to go down as one of the most special and rare Miatas out there. They only made just a little bit over 5,000 of them, I believe. They were supposed to make closer to 7,000, but the Mazda factory burnt down, and they weren't able to finish production. Number 7 is going to be the Nissan 350Z. Hear me out. The Nissan 350Z Nismo Edition. Now, the Nismo 350 is a very rare car. You don't see them ever, and I think that they're going to continue to appreciate over time, especially considering a regular 350, well, they get abused. They get super abused. Not only are the regular 350s ruined right now, and you can't find a good example, the Nismo is going to be something even more special, and it's going to continue to appreciate over time and be one of those halo cars from the early 2000s. Now, for number 8, I put the Subaru WRX STI, and I put this there not as a car that's going to be a collector car anytime soon or going to be a car that's going to go crazy in value, but a car that's going to hold really well and something that you can really enjoy. Specifically, a 2013 hatch. They stopped making the hatch. They're never going to make an STI again. And also just the STIs in general are never going to happen again. They're going to electric after the current generation, and the current generation doesn't have the STI. The next STI that's going to be built is going to be electric, which means that enthusiasts like me and you are going to go out and search for the STIs that have the boxer motors, because electric cars are boring and bland. Let's be real, no one likes them, and there's a reason they're depreciating and no one's buying them. Now, number 9 is a car I have, and it's going to be the BMW M Roadster. Now, the E36 was on the list. The Clown Shoe is a car that has already appreciated so much, but the M Roadsters, I think, are still undervalued. During COVID, they kind of went up. Now they're kind of coming down a little bit. You can find a clean one under $20,000. The S54 cars in particular are kind of hard to find, but under $20,000, if you can get an S54 clean S54 car, that's probably going to be a good $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 in another 10 to 15 years, especially considering how rare they are. They built less than 10,000 of the cars, I believe, in total. Now, the final car on my list is going to be the CRX. The Honda CRX SI in particular, or even the SIR. Now, the SIR is a rare car that wasn't available in America. They didn't make them for the US, so they're not really out there. But in the US, we did get the SI, and I've been on and off looking for one of these cars, and if you have one in really nice condition, I think in the future this could be a potential collector car, because I can't find them anywhere. There's one like very mediocre and kind of rougher one for sale for like 16. I don't think the car is quite worth that, but the fact that you can't find them anywhere in the US. Now, this term of collector vehicles has kind of gotten out of hand in my opinion, and I don't think that people should buy cars just to park. I think that's one of the dumbest ideas, and historically people actually lose money, or you could have made more money investing in regular funds than putting them into vehicles. Cars are meant to be enjoyed. These are cars you can enjoy, potentially make some money on, or at the very least break even on if you do intend to move on from it in another 5 to 10 years. It's better than buying a new sports car that's going to depreciate like a ton of bricks. That's all I have, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.